Good morning. Good morning. It is Social Surge with Fly and Mo, and
Woo!
we are going live on the gram right now.
Just
Go
a
live.
minute.
Click the button.
All I have to do is
Click the button.
All right. Okay. I hope everybody missed us. It's been a minute.
I'm Mo Regalato. That is Fly Jamerson, and we are back, babies. Good morning, Regalato Real Estate. Thanks for joining us over on the gram, fam. We are back from CREi Summit. Some of us a little better off than others.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. You're sick. We're sharing one brain cell. Repping my new merch. What's up?
Oh, nice. I don't know where my shirt is. I have no idea where it's at.
Well, shoot.
I mean, we unpacked everything. Like, everything is unpacked.
As soon as I got home, I was immediately thrust into caring for my family, which I like is not a problem. But yeah, I have yet to really fully settle back in.
Yeah, it's super funny. Like, the one thing that I asked my kids to do was just to make sure that the kitchen was clean, right? And they put the dishes in the dishwasher, but they didn't actually turn it on.
Oh, Dwayne, Alan, the crew. Yeah, blurry. Also, can someone tell me? I'm just having the issues.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. So we are unpacking CREi Summit 25.
Literally.
Bringing you the hits, the highlights, and the hot takes. Yes, it's exactly what we're doing. We were in Palm Desert for almost a week. Fly got in on Tuesday. I got in
late
Tuesday night, very early Wednesday morning. That's a story in of itself. You gotta love when so there's this whole situation, and of course I'm going to talk about it now because why not? But like, and I wasn't the only one who had, like, Corey was telling me that he also had a flight delay on his way home.
That was a lot.
Yeah. He was stuck on the tarmac in Palm Springs for 45 minutes. And I was like, and that's like, let's even talk about Palm Springs. That's a really weird airport.
It's but I have never been in an airport where there's a whole outdoor area past security. It's kind of interesting, but it was also, that's very of like that region, like the Southwest. Like I remember when I moved to Arizona, seeing high schools, or you can see this. I love that. You would see this where it's like open air, like all the lockers are outside and there's like a little thing over the top of it. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting to see how the different regional biomes will affect architecture. But yeah, it's a kind of a strange airport.
It was a weird, like, it was like very much I like expected. I don't know. I kind of felt like I was on a movie scene. Like,
well, yeah, and also the whole design, like it had a whole aesthetic of like, oh, the golden era of Hollywood, like with the like the kind of avant-garde, not avant-garde, Art Nouveau, Art Deco. Oh God, if Chad Griffiths was watching this, he would be losing his mind as I just go through the Rolodex of architectural styles. And my husband,
Jeannie Heller from Chicago. Hey, good morning. Yeah, so Corey had a delay as he was leaving. I had a delay coming in. My flight was delayed an hour and a half. So we didn't make our connecting flight. I knew we weren't going to make our connecting flight. We're having conversations in the comments. Alan Buchanan just had a new book that came out called Sequence.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking over you.
You're fine.
Hi, good morning, Holly Pennington, who's over on the Instagram.
Oh, Holly Pennington. Yay. Fabulous people. Okay. So Corey says, hey, Alan, we'll catch you next time, Jeannie. I gifted your book yesterday. Sequence is the name of the book. It is by Alan Buchanan. Brand new. It just came out. So make sure that you take a look at that and get your hands on it and read it and then give him a review. But so what ended up happening to us, other than the fact that you can tell that I have this nasty, nasty cold, is our flight got delayed an hour and a half. We were going to miss our connecting flight. There was no way for us to get into Palm Springs until like the afternoon of Wednesday. And I'm like, that's not going to work. I have to pick up posters. So they're like, oh, you can go home, you can come back, and then you connect. I'm like, this is not going to work. How close can you get me? I tried to do Portland. I tried to do LAX. I didn't think about Ontario. I just didn't think about that. And they're like, we can get you down to San Diego. And I'm like, we're from San Diego. That's fine. Like, let's do this, right? So we get into San Diego at midnight, get our rental car, and we drive to Palm Desert. It was fine. We got in about 2:45 in the morning. I mean, it is what it is, right? We had a fabulous breakfast in Palm Springs, though. There was I can't remember, Regalado Real Estate. You're going to have to remember the name for me so I can remember the name of the place. It was the coolest. It was like a bar. Like, it was like a swanky, like, you could tell like it was a swanky bar. Fabulous breakfast. One of the best breakfasts I've had in a really long time. Nice. So anyway, that's the whole situation. What do you got for me, my dear?
Well, first of all, I think the about 150 people who have all come back home from the summit are probably operating on a sleep deficit. And so for example, I think in the course of 72 hours, I probably got 8 hours of sleep, which I don't think is uncommon. Would I recommend that? No. However, when asked why I did that, my primary reason was the fact that I have 72 hours to be with some of my closest colleagues and collaborators, and I'm sure as heck going to capitalize on every single second I can of that. But actually, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and they were asking me about the summit, and they're used to conferences that's like CCIM, C5 Summit, which is coming up, or like the SIR or ICSC, or like some of these larger organizations. And so when I said that there was 150 people there, they were sort of taken aback. And at first I thought, you should always wait to react, right? And so I didn't, but first what I thought was like, oh, they're going to, like the look on their face, they're interpreting that number as being insignificant. 150 people in, God, I looked it up yesterday, but we have, depending on the statistics, which are sort of hard to quantify in many ways, but we have, there's a certain number, you know what? The number of commercial agents in the United States of America. Commercial agents in the United States of America. We have the internet. We have the answers. It's possible. It'd be great if I added the word number of. Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. According to Gemini's AI, which we all know has plenty of issues with hallucinations, so don't at me, 2.9 million commercial real estate brokers in the United States as of 2023.
Really?
That's what this says right here, right now. Trust but verify. That's it. And according to NAR, that number is much, much smaller. 100,000 commercial real estate agents in the U.S. as of 2020.
That sounds more believable.
Okay, so regardless of the number, whether it's 100,000 or 2.9 million, so Gemini, please check your sources. 150 people is a drop in the bucket. One of those is a much larger bucket that needs to be verified. But and this is why I mentioned that there's a statistical attribution problem here, because how is commercial agent being defined in many of these instances? Trust but verify people, trust but verify. So 150 people in the total number of people in this industry, and and maybe you could expand that. I'm just knocking stuff off my desk. Maybe you could expand that to include everyone else adjacent in the industry who is not an agent, right? So you have investors, you have developers, you have people in marketing, you have people in titling, you have attorneys, you have all these people, right? So whatever that number is, 150 people-ish decided to go to Palm Desert. And so I'm talking about this with my client. He's looking at me and he sort of raises an eyebrow at it. And he said, what that tells me is that we're still early. That if you look at the number of people who are transacting in this business or supporting the people who are making deals and moving money and building the world, that now, are there people in our community? Are there people in our network who would like to have been there and couldn't? Yeah, sure, of course, right? But I would still say that that number of people who would like to attend but didn't is closer to being a drop in the bucket than a significant majority, or even a notable minority. This is an extremely niche group, and I think it's very easy to forget that because of how chronically online we are. And so it was after having spent 3 days, or the better part of a week with all the people in our community in person in a very intense, focused environment. And then, also just being here all the time, it was interesting to get the perspective of somebody who's A, not a part of this community, and B, not an attendee, right? And so it was interesting. So the value that or just that was their takeaway, was that, oh, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room to do a lot of, not damage, but a lot of room to make a lot of impact.
Well, and I think the FOMO was real for a lot of people, because I think this year more than any other, we were as a community, we're a lot more active on all the social platforms, sharing pictures and more live updates than ever before. I have yet to share any of my, no, that's not true. I put together I did a CapCut video very quickly.
You did. Yeah, I've seen it. Maybe not.
I didn't share it on LinkedIn yet, but I did share it on X, and I think I shared it on Instagram. But we were, there was a lot of different things that were being done. Hey, Taylor Turner, thanks for joining us over on the gram. Appreciate you being here. I think it was a lot more live focused. And then I was live tweeting for the most part, as much as I could, on the CREi Summit X channel, and taking photos and just sharing as much as possible. And still that's one of the challenges when you're a social media manager and you're at an event, and you're supposed to be participating, but you're also working, is the fact that you're trying to be present as much as possible, but then also work. So there's this real weird, I can think of all the times that somebody came up to me and I was on the phone, typing, and I'm looking at, I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, so many. There were a couple moments where I had sort of really intensive tasks to do on this thing right here, and people kept trying to come up and talk to me, and then I'm pretty sure everybody I followed up with later on, but I very politely was like, "Hi, I love this. I want to see you. I hope you're having a great day. Let me know how I can help you. I need to do this thing right now. I cannot talk."
Girl, so this is one of the funny things. So Fly was running around. We recorded every single session with a plod, which is an AI note taker, right? And each plod had to be connected to a phone. And Fly looked like a drug dealer with all of these phones on
in front of me right now. They're all charged
from everywhere. I was like, all these phones.
Well, and you want to know what happened too? Was I got held up in security because you can't pack lithium battery. You can't pack anything with a battery in a check.
Did you really?
Bag. Yeah, I got stopped in security because I had 5 extra phones. I had 4 battery packs. I had all this stuff, and I had anticipated it being sort of a flag, but really so I was watching the security guard go through the bags, and then if you stand in the right place, you can kind of see the x-ray or whatever it is that they do, and I see them scrolling through and looking at the different layers, and they're looking at the phones and I was just like, yeah, okay, this is gonna take another 20 minutes. They didn't actually ask me what they were for. They just opened it up to look at it and just kind of poke around. It was super funny. But yeah, no, I'm not. All I'm smuggling is content, baby.
That's
I don't know how educational this recap is going to be, considering the state of our sleep deficit and various immune systems, but
immunity challenges. No, okay. So I do want to bring up one of the main things that stuck in my brain was actually on Friday. It was we called it the mental health panel in between us, but it was really how to deal with the haters. And our good old Bob Knackle came out with something that he and his wife Cynthia talk about, or they say it's parsley.
Yeah.
No, and he explained it. So we were talking about like how do you deal with people who either talk crap or they're just rude or whatever. And he said we call, we say it's parsley. And what does that mean? Well, you have parsley on your plate, right? When you go to a restaurant. And do you ever eat the parsley? No, you just kind of pick it up and flick it off, right? Like you move it out of the way. It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't taste really. It doesn't.
I was thinking, have I ever eaten parsley? And I think I have actually put it in my mouth and like chewed on it. And I think it's supposed to be a palate cleanser.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It's like cilantro on mute. It's a little like
it's a cilantro on mute. So they talk about it's parsley, that's their thing. It's parsley. It doesn't mean anything. So when you're dealing with some of the negativity online, is it parsley, something that you can just flick away and get rid of, or is it not, right?
Hold on, I have to take a screenshot of Justin's comments on my Instagram because
oh my gosh,
he's saying I should pursue an alternate career as a smuggler. I'm just screen capping that. Thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
Which Justin?
Justin Rice-Moore.
Jeez.
He's just the hecklers are here. No, he loves us. Yeah, it doesn't add any value, so why are you paying so much attention to it?
Correct. So, just if it is it parsley or not, right? I thought that was such an important thing. That's what actually stuck in my brain, like, wow, that's such a great way to look at, because we all get haters. Like I get people who jump in my DMs and tell me, shitty things. And I like sit there and I stare at it. I'm like, wow, you took the time out of your day to like come tell me this. Awesome.
I'm still looking at these search results for how many commercial agents are there in the United States of America. And every single search result is
vastly different.
So different. And I understand why, because like the way that licensing works, there's no delineation between residential and commercial. So it's like, how do you actually keep track of this? That's a separate conversation. This one's okay. I gotta stop looking at this. My takeaway that is in my brain right now in this moment is, and there was really only like 3 because I don't have a lot of takeaways from the internal content of the sessions. I'm looking forward to processing and reviewing all the transcripts of everything, so I can sort of get the cheat sheet of it all. But and we discussed this on the live that we did all together with CREi, which I did a supercut of being really goofy, which I will post. I don't know if you saw that. I sent it to you to DM.
Did you? I haven't seen it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, no, my inbox is just a wasteland. I can't go in there. So most of my takeaways were from hearing about people's experiences and their questions while they're at the summit. However, a couple of singular sentences or anecdotes and insight that were shared in a couple of different sessions. But from the same session with Bob, or it may have been one before, he did 2 in a row, one with you, which was excellent. And then the one with Skylar and Amy and Kelly Miller from SIOR actually came from an audience question. And I believe it was asked by David Skinner, who I will tell you who's with.
He's out of Boston.
Oh, yeah. SIOR.
Yep.
With SIOR. He is with Prescott, a founding partner of Prescott. Anyway, so David Skinner, what's up? His question, I believe, was related to whether or not and how you share or provide commentary on things unrelated to commercial real estate that would still be something you might speak about on social media, such as politics, such as news. Do you remember that question?
Yes, that was in our session. Yeah.
And so it was at the end of your session, which makes sense, right? So especially when you consider
and happy birthday to your boy, Justin. I don't know if it was yesterday or today. I think I saw it like briefly.
Mm-hmm. So the question of, do you ever offer any kind of socio-political commentary?
Yep.
On top of what you normally are sharing related to your niche? And I thought that Bob's answer was really fantastic, because I'll have to go back to the session notes to look at exactly what he said, and maybe you remember too, but everything that he speaks about on his social media is like directly tied to what he cares about, and like how he's making money and how he's running his business and how he's helping his clients and how he sells buildings in New York. Right. And if there are policies or anything, like any kinds of conversations or discourse happening in the industry or in the community or in the country that specifically affect his ability to maximize prices and sell buildings in New York, then it is, and now this is my coloring on top of what he actually said, like it is his job to know about those things. And, you know, and he's also he's also an influential figure in this industry. And so, you know, people, you know, it's an important part of the way that he thinks. And it's his responsibility to know that if there's something that's going to happen in his market that's going to affect his ability to do his job, then yeah, that would be something that he might share. Now, the rest of it, not necessarily productive or applicable to his business. And so that was his perspective and his advice, and please add or share or correct me on that. But it's just like social, and then on the flip side of that, you know, I've seen some conversations on X recently that are specifically about how do I curate my feed better so I can only see the things that are relevant to me, right? And that's something that we talk about a lot, right? But it's true, like this space, you know, we've carved out a nice little niche, you know, community and space for ourselves, but we're not the only people online. We're not the only people using these platforms. And there are people in the industry who use their, you know, platform to talk about a lot of other stuff, whether, you know, and I'm not here saying like whether or not that is a good thing. I just thought, or a bad thing. I just thought that it was interesting that that was Bob's perspective, because I thought that was like, okay, I feel like that's how people should operate.
Yeah, when that question came up, what I loved about Bob's answer is the fact that he said that he can discuss those things in a way that statistically shows how jacked up, these are my words paraphrasing, right? Statistically show how jacked.
Has Bob ever said jacked up?
Probably not.
It'd be funny to get him to say like the things that the people around him say. Just that, you know what? No, right off. That's a bad. Throw it on the writer's room trash can. Just
that actually would be pretty funny if we got him to say Riz.
I want him to say KK. Bob, not okay. KK. I'm so sorry. I'm really tired.
KK. Okay, so he was saying that statistically, if he can respond in a way where he can actually show numbers, and so, with regard to, in fact, some of these laws, I think we brought up 421A and 485 something, but showing like, you know, statistically before the tax abatements went away, this is what was happening, and now that the tax abatements are there, this is what's happening. Like the National Guard picking up trash and greeting me in the metro of DC.
There's a story there.
There is a story there. But so I mean, if it depends on how you feel, like if you're willing to die on that hill, I guess by all means, if that's a part of your persona, we do have some characters on X that do showcase some of their thoughts and ideas that aren't always like
related to commercial real estate.
Right, exactly. Rated to commercial. Marcy Moneypenny is here in the house.
To meet you, by the way.
And so I mean, it really does depend on. I really think if you're willing to die on that hill, and one of the sessions that I attended was with Corey Zelnick, Zach Molzer, and
Annie Bogart.
Huh?
And Annie Bogart.
Talking about short form content. If you guys are not following Zach Molzer and Molzer Development on social, absolutely need to follow them. Fabulous content that they're putting out. And not only that, but I loved how Annie talked about the psychology of, like, I think that's like her major actually. Like she's like a psych major or something. He said if it only affects the market, right? And so she was talking about like the psychology of like actually creating some of the content. So Fly and I have talked about, you know, when you're writing content, how people's eyes track across the screen and how you have to be cognizant of that fact. Because if you write in two block text, like it's a big block of text, we're not going to read it. We don't read giant ass paragraphs. We just don't. We'll read a giant ass paragraph that's split up into multiple lines of content. We'll read the whole damn thing. But if you were to put it in just a big block of text, we're not going to read it. So that's knowing how people's eyes track across the screen. That's psychology, right? So she talks about how they do like quick changes and quick they're what was that?
I said she's so smart. Sorry. I think I'm laggy.
Yeah, she's fabulous. And so she was talking about some of the quick cuts that they do and knowing that you're constantly getting that attention every time a change happens on a screen, you're refreshing, you're rebooting the watcher's brain, right? So they're going to stay longer. They're going to stay watching your content longer. And they've gone from like 0 to 400,000 followers, I believe, on Instagram, which we don't always like. We don't talk about like, I think it's 400,000.
I think it might be 400,000 across.
I could be lying.
I'm not trying to fact check you. I'm just.
Is it 400 across platforms?
I think so.
Hold on, I'll go look.
They will. I mean, they're going to get that with the exponential growth that they're receiving. Or that they're.
Oh yeah, they have 92,000 followers on. So
I can't remember when they started to. I can't remember when they hit. I can't remember when they started. Annie and I were talking about this, where it was like they were so consistent, and they were so consistent in everything, and posting and frequency, in like the style and everything, and they were. And they just kept hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and iterating and experimenting and just like what finally works. And then it was right around the time, I can't remember if it was that specific video, but it was right around the time when they were putting in a concrete slab for the elevator shaft. I think it was like that, like was that specific or a video around that time. And it was like a couple of months ago that then it was like every time I would check their page, it was like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. Like it just took off.
It just skyrocketed. You're right.
Yeah. And so, and watching that, so it's like, there's no doubt on the same track of growth that they're on. And especially in the way that the business is expanding and how they're like taking on new projects. Like and also Zach has some other interesting things that are in development, including a new podcast with several of his peers who are doing, different investing, developing acquisitions, like things like that, who are all in his age group. Right.
Yep. They're all in their early 20s.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, right? And they're all they're super charming and positive, and it's just like great, right? It's everything. It's everything that we want to see, and so there's no doubt that they will continue to have exponential growth. But it does speak a lot to the consistency required and the endurance required. I mean, Aviva in the opening panel, okay, now I'm awake. Aviva in the opening panel, and speaking about her, she has a fully fleshed out, full-on Gary Vee style strategy.
Yep.
In the way that she repurposes, the way that she's on every platform, she has very sophisticated digital strategy. And I asked her in that panel, I was like, how long did it take? Like, how long did it take, before you really started seeing traction? Or like feeling like you figure it out? And she's like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And
it's a long game.
It's a long game. And so, I lost the specific sentence that I was going to say as a takeaway, but I just want to highlight that again for people who are like, they didn't see all of that. They didn't see, all they see now is that Aviva has, 1 million followers and a sophisticated digital strategy and is closing multi-million-dollar, stuff, right?
Right.
They don't see, they're not aware of that. And a lot of that, it just takes a long time. So managing, I felt like it was, I know that sometimes that can scare people off of committing to it, but honestly, then you want to know what? Like, that's what it takes. And if you are unable or unwilling to maintain the endurance and discipline and consistency and optimism required to make it in this business, whether it's in content or in making your calls, like it's not gonna work.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think you summed it up very nicely that if you can't maintain consistency in your content and your calls, you're going to get left behind. It's as simple as that. We are at time right now. I do want to mention that CREi Summit We'll be in Savannah, Georgia next year. And through the month of September, you can get early bird tickets for $975.
Nice.
That is one of the lowest price points we have ever seen. So if you want to be involved with a bunch of content creators, with people who, and honestly, there were people making content everywhere. Like there were videos happening, there were interviews happening. We didn't even talk about Hungry Investments and
There's so much to talk about. Those guys are so awesome.
Like
Christian
amazing.
Potter?
Yes.
So
like
good. Wait, where's my hat?
the Rent Stew podcast.
Yeah.
Those guys are fabulous. If you want, like, if you ever get an opportunity to talk to Christian about like lead funnels, content funnels, all this stuff, that's the person that, you know, I would definitely sit down and chit chat with 5 or 10 minutes. Guy's been in the business for a while. It was a lot of fun for me to talk to him about dark post on Facebook back in 2012. Like, I don't meet a lot of people who know about that stuff.
I don't know anything about that.
And as I said, I came home with cold. So we will see you guys back here on Thursday. Don't forget, we have Social Mastery VIP. We will be we will that is our school group that Fly and I run, and we talk about the whole marketing ecosystem. We have some fun stuff that we've been brainstorming to do in that group, and we can't wait for you guys to be there with us. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Everybody have a great rest of your week.